When was the last time you made a decision that was entirely yours? Not your boss's, not your wife's, not the bank's. Yours. Quiet. Don't answer. You don't remember. You have been tamed. You don't even know when it happened. One day you were a wolf. The next, you were sitting, staying, rolling over whenever the system snapped its fingers. Look at your life. The alarm clock screams and you obey. The boss gives an unreasonable deadline and you nod. You smile when you want to scream. You stay silent when you should roar. They put a leash on your soul and told you it was a tie. Now your back aches from an ergonomic chair you never chose, while your dreams rot in an Excel spreadsheet. Do you smell that? The smell of your wildness rotting. It reeks of comfort. It's a lie. They turned a predator into a pet, and you paid for that transformation with your soul. But here's the secret. The cage door was never locked. You were just trained not to push it open. In exactly 60 seconds, I'm going to show you the 3 invisible locks keeping you inside. But first, you need to see the face of your real captor. So sit down, lock in, and listen carefully. Because what you are about to learn might cost you your comfortable life, but it will give you back your power forever. The nature of the tamed dog. Before you can break the conditioning, you must understand how deep the grooming goes. It didn't start with your boss. It started when you were 5 years old. The school bell rings. You stop drawing, stop thinking, stop playing. You freeze and move to the next cage. That wasn't education. That was training. You were not rewarded for brilliance. You were rewarded for compliance. Sit straight. Raise your hand. Don't question the curriculum. Don't outshine the teacher who stopped learning 20 years ago. The Prussian education system that most of the world copied wasn't built to create innovators. It was built to create obedient factory workers who wouldn't mutiny. And you, my friend, were a star pupil. You graduated not with honor, but with a deeply implanted fear of stepping out of line. Then the corporate world took over. They didn't hire you for your potential. They hired you to fit into a spreadsheet. Job descriptions are just leashes. Performance reviews are just a way to remind you to wag your tail faster. Nietzsche understood this over a century ago. He saw the state, the church, and the factory turning men into herd animals. He called it the morality of the slave. To the system, your greatness is a threat. A questioning mind cannot be micromanaged. A free spirit cannot be enslaved by a paycheck. So they use what they have: shame, bills, and the illusion of security to file your teeth down until you're safe for the living room. This is the truth most people are too scared to face. When you feel the need to follow your passion, but your body freezes at the thought of quitting your job, that's not logic. That's the invisible shock collar buzzing against your throat. You are not afraid of failure. You are afraid of breaking the rules. The good boy syndrome. Let me show you exactly what a broken will looks like. A broken man gets an absurd order at work, and he mutters under his breath that management is stupid. He complains to his colleagues. But when the boss walks in, he smiles, he nods, He says, "I'll get it done right away." He thinks he's being strategic. He thinks he's preserving his paycheck. But everyone watching sees the truth. They see a dog rolling onto its back, showing its belly to avoid conflict. He is not surviving. He is slowly dying of self-betrayal. Every time you suppress your voice, you cut off a piece of your own spine. The broken man confuses comfort with safety. He thinks clinging to a job that hates him, a mortgage that chains him, and a routine that numbs him is the smart play. But the opposite occurs. The more you obey, the more they load on your back. The system does not reward loyalty. The system rewards leverage. If you are easily replaceable, you are not a good man. You are a useful tool. Machiavelli said that men must either be caressed or crushed. And because the modern man has no bite, he begs for the caress and receives the crush. This is why most people die at 25 but aren't buried until they're 80. They are slaves to their comfort zones. They are addicted to the approval of people they don't even respect. You will be different. You are going to learn the predator's way, the wolf's mindset. Now let me introduce you to a different breed, the one who survived the grooming with his soul intact. This is the man who sat in the same cubicle, but his mind was elsewhere. He sees the system's demands and feels nothing but cold calculation. Not because he is numb, but because he has separated his ego from his occupation. While others beg for a promotion, he studies the money flow. While others gossip, he observes the supply chain of power. The wolf asks one question: what is the highest leverage move I can make right now? Friedrich Nietzsche dreamed of the Übermensch, the man who creates his own values. The wolf does not just climb the ladder, he questions why the ladder is leaning against that particular wall. He feels the fear of getting fired. He acknowledges it. Then he sets it on fire and uses it as fuel to build a boat. He refuses to let a direct deposit determine his dignity. This is mastery. This is what separates the owner from the livestock. When you detach from the need to be liked by the group, you gain something most men never taste: freedom of movement. You can choose to pivot. You can choose to learn a new skill overnight. You can choose to be unreachable by the anxiety emails sent at 11 p.m. The wolf is never trapped. He tolerates the fence, but he is always digging underneath it. And here is what terrifies the system. They cannot read him. They threaten to fire him, and he shrugs. They try to guilt him with team spirit, and he smiles. He does not wear their uniform of desperation. This creates a subtle fear in the manager. It plants a seed of doubt, and that doubt is where his freedom begins. You are not here to please. You are here to conquer. Start thinking like someone who owns the zoo, not someone living in a cage. The power of silence. There is a weapon they told you was rude, a tool they were forced to punish out of you in kindergarten recess. Silence. Strategic, cold, unbreakable silence. When the manager screams at you, ranting about a stupid deadline that exists only because of his own poor planning, you do not scream back. You do not apologize. You stare. You pause. The air thickens. He expects the whimper. He expects the frantic tail wagging. You give him stone. And in that vacuum of noise, he hears his own ridiculousness echoing back at him. The system cannot function without your emotional reaction. They need your anxiety to prove they have power. When you refuse to offer it, you starve the handler. Silence says, "Your urgency is not my emergency." It communicates that your authority is a costume, and the man inside it is not worth the saliva it takes to argue. Let the system expose its own incompetence. When you don't rush, the cracks in their plan show. When you don't validate the humiliation, the humiliator looks like a fool. Do not defend yourself against corporate gossip. Do not explain your private life to co-workers who are just informants. Let them wonder why you aren't scared. Let them lose sleep over your smile. This is not passivity. This is psychological warfare without a single meme in the group chat. The escape artist. Silence is power, but sometimes you must bite. There are moments when you must show your claws to remind them you are not a Labrador. The difference between a sucker and a sovereign is timing. The sucker quits in a blaze of dramatic glory, sending a furious email, burning bridges he can't afford to burn. The wolf waits. I remember sitting in a glass office, being told my attitude wasn't fitting the culture because I asked for data to back up a stupid decision. I didn't slam the table. I didn't hand in a resignation letter. I smiled, agreed vaguely, and walked out. For the next 3 months, I sat in that same chair, but I had already left. My mind was building the exit. I was gathering resources, upskilling silently, locking down clients who belonged to me, not the company. The boss thought I was tamed. He was looking at the dog, but he missed the wolf walking out the back door with the steak in his mouth. When I finally left, it wasn't a resignation. It was a severing. No drama, just a calm, irreversible vanishing. That is strategic resistance. You do not fight the cage while they are watching. You bend the bars when the guards are sleeping. Delayed retaliation is the most devastating because they never see it coming. Build proof of concept while they think you're docile. Make yourself undeniable. Then, when you walk, the ground shakes. Not because you shouted, but because you left a vacuum they cannot fill. The Art of Indifference. There is something more terrifying to the system than a rebel. It is a person who genuinely does not care about the carrots and sticks they're dangling. True indifference. When you stop needing the promotion, the approval, the gold star, you become dangerous. You move beyond their control matrix. Society grooms you to believe that reputation is everything. What will the neighbors think? What will HR think? But the man who is indifferent to their opinion is unmanageable. They cannot shame you into working weekends. They cannot guilt you into sacrificing your family for a quarterly report. Indifference says, "Your prison is not my temple." Understand this. The system requires your addiction. You are addicted to the smell of status, the leather of a new car, the fleeting claps in a Monday morning meeting. When you starve that addiction, they panic. You look at the corner office you used to dream about and realize it's just a bigger cage. The indifferent man makes the bosses feel impotent. They scream, and it's just noise. They threaten, and it's just hot air. You become a ghost in their machinery. Protect your energy like it is gold. Most of the corporate circus is just a distraction to keep you from realizing that you could build your own tent. Move in silence. Let them play their status games. You are playing a different game entirely. Building an unleashed reputation. The strongest shield against the system is a reputation so sharp that nobody dares to treat you like a pet. This is the level you must aim for. A presence that enters the interview and becomes an equal, not a beggar. Machiavelli taught that perception is the reality of power. If a market believes you are rare, competent, and willing to walk away, they will never try to collar you. First, become the best at what you do. Not for the company, for the marketplace. Power respects skill. When your name rings a bell in an industry, you are not a number in an Excel sheet. You are an asset. Second, build personal leverage. Save FU money. Knowing you can survive 6 months without their salary strips them of their power. It's not about the cash, it's about the posture it gives you. You walk differently when you aren't one missed paycheck away from ruin. Third, enforce your boundaries early. The moment you accept unpaid overtime without a fight, you have worn the collar. You must establish that your personal time is sovereign territory. Fourth, control your narrative. Do not let them brand you as difficult because you have a spine. Be kind, be professional, but be ruthlessly opaque. Let your work be so loud that your demands must be met. Mystery is your ally. Don't share your 5-year plan or your side hustle with colleagues. Let your life look like a locked room. They fear what they cannot profile. When your name alone commands the assumption of power, disrespect becomes suicidal for them. The dark psychology of the system. To break the spell, you must see the puppet strings. The world is run by people who understand human psychological frailty. The education system wasn't built to make you think. It was built to make you a predictable consumer. The corporation isn't a family, it's a hierarchy of extraction. They use your fear of poverty to make you tolerate disrespect. They use your desire for belonging to make you betray your own values for a team-building night you hate. People are driven almost entirely by the avoidance of fear. The state knows this. The board knows this. They offer you a safe path. Take out loans, get a degree, buy a house, stay loyal, die forgotten. This is the long con. Your obedience funds their retirement. Erich Fromm wrote in Escape from Freedom that modern man, terrified of isolation, submits to authority just to feel safe. That is the tamed dog syndrome perfectly described. You sacrifice your wild potential to feel secure in the herd. But safety is the lie they sell you to steal your time. Watch how people treat children. Encouraged to be wild? No. They're drugged with Ritalin when they won't sit still. Shamed when they ask too many questions. They are broken early, so they never look at the horizon. The system is not just careless, it is designed. It targets the alpha energy in you and tries to pathologize it as arrogance. Recognize the gaslighting. When someone says, "That's just how it is," they are an agent of the sickness. You are not disordered for wanting freedom. You are awake. Now use this dark knowledge. It's not about burning the world down. It's about refusing to be firewood. The final command. You have made it to the end, but this is not a happy meal. This is your declaration of war. Everything I've told you about the system, the training, the prison, it's useless if you go back to scrolling through reels and hating your boss silently. Knowledge without escape velocity is just a lullaby. You didn't come here to be entertained. You came here to remember. So here is your mission. Be the glitch in the matrix. Become impossible to control. Not by being loud, but by being free. Every day, you must do one thing that scares the corporate dog inside you. Say no to a pointless meeting. Leave your phone in another room so they cannot reach you 24/7. Spend 1 hour building a skill that makes you dangerous to the system. The weak buy distractions. The powerful buy tools. Your mind is not a trash can for their propaganda. You are in a war against the man they told you to be. Kill him. Kill the version of you who apologizes for existing. Kill the version who thinks success means a slightly better leash. Kill him with competence. Kill him with financial leverage. Kill him with the refusal to participate in a game rigged against you. From this moment on, you will stop asking for permission. The boss does not own your future. Your parents' fears do not define your path. Society's script is not your screenplay. You will pause, you will analyze, and you will act from a place of sovereignty, not survival. Build your life so that the system has no power over you. So that if they fire you, it's their loss. If they judge you, it's irrelevant. Walk into rooms and let them sense that you are the one thing they cannot create. A free human. Let them wonder why you aren't panicking. Let them study you. How does he walk so calmly? Why doesn't he flinch when the stock price drops? Why doesn't he bow? That's not arrogance. That's memory. You have finally remembered your nature. The wolf obeys no master. Now I want you to do something right now. Go to the comments. Write these words. I am not a pet. Not as a wish, not as a cute quote for your profile, but as a signature in blood. A commitment to rip the leash out of the hands of whoever is holding it. Write it and mean it. Let it be the first howl of your new life. And if the cage door has been rattling inside your mind while listening, do me a favor. Hit the like button. It costs you nothing, but it's a signal that the pack is growing, that we are building something here, a community of men and women who refuse to be domesticated. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on notifications. Every video I release is designed to be a bolt cutter for your mind, to strip the conditioning, to reintroduce you to the predator you buried. This is your path now. Walk it without the leash. Walk it without asking for a permission slip. And never, ever let them turn you back into a tamed dog. I am not a pet. Now prove it.